Moms, let's talk about pregnancy and what most prenatal care is completely missing. Your birth team is tracking your blood pressure, they're doing urine tests, they're monitoring your baby's growth, but there's one critical system being completely overlooked. It's your nervous system. And that just might be the most important measurement that you're not getting during your pregnancy. That's why every pregnant mom deserves to know about this crucial nervous system test, what we're going to talk about here today. It's the one assessment that will actually measure how well your nervous system is functioning during this incredible journey through pregnancy. And moms, this is massively important not just for you, but for your baby as well. Their nervous system is developing alongside yours through what is called co-regulation. So if your system is under stress, that's what the baby is experiencing as well. So let's get into this, and let's start off with understanding this concept of neurology and how your nervous system really does run the show. Somehow this is missed or glossed over when most people are thinking about health. You might think about your gut or your immune system or different hormone regulation systems, but your neurology, your brain and body connection, is really what controls all of those downstream systems. So if we skip neurology, if we skip the nervous system, it's like we're ignoring the air traffic control center of everything else. You're gonna have all sorts of downstream issues with that. So it manages your stress response and what controls the hormones as we go throughout that pregnancy journey. There's all sorts of hormone swings. Your immune system, your gut health, all of that is regulated through neurology. And if we're being honest, pregnancy provides a lot of opportunities for stress, right? There is so much changing, whether it's your first kid or your fifth or your 10th. It is a massive shift in your life. There's new financial stresses, maybe your work situation is changing, the family dynamic is different, especially if there's multiple kids. So much is shifting in your life, and there's a lot of opportunities for this stress response. Your body has two different modes, or your nervous system has two different modes it can operate under. It's what we refer to as the gas pedal versus the brake pedal. Think of your gas pedal as your stress response. That's your fight or flight system. That's what really kicks into high gear when you have that cortisol and adrenaline and fight or flight activation. That's okay temporarily. You want that turned on if you see a bear in the woods, but you don't want to be living in survival mode, because then that brake pedal, what's called your parasympathetic or growth and development mode, that rest and digest and relaxation mode, that gets shut off if you're living in stress all the time. The prenatal journey in pregnancy provides a lot of opportunities for that stress system to get turned on and maybe not fully get turned off. If you're stuck in stress, if you're stuck in survival mode, so much is going to show up. Your sleep is going to be rough, your immune system, your hormone regulation, and it even can show up in labor, right? It is way more likely to have a long, difficult, intervention-filled labor if your nervous system is in this place of fear or survival or stress. To make it even worse, like we talked about a second ago, that is what your baby is experiencing as well. Whatever you are taking in, that is what they're getting to know as well. And that's smart, right? That's good design, because if we truly were living in a war zone, if we truly were living in a survival situation, we would want our kids primed and triggered for survival, but that's not reality. We want them regulated. We want them able to process lunch. We want them able to sleep well. We want them to go through their journey as regulated as possible, not in that fight or flight state. So moms, this matters immensely. And that's why we're so passionate about our insight scans. One of the 3 different scans we do is this test here. It's called HRV, or heart rate variability. This lets us measure your stress response. This lets us measure, are we in fight or flight? Are we in that survival mode, or are we in a more balanced, regulated state? That is so impactful for all the reasons we just listed, but it can be really empowering to see it on pen and paper and be like, wow, my nervous system is tanked. I am depleted. I need to do something different to support that. So that's one of the scans. The other 2 let us look into how your immune system and kind of gut health is working. And the other, how are we handling the gravity stress? How are we handling the challenges that we're dealing with as your body is shifting, as your center of gravity is changing, as there's hormone changes like relaxin that are making things more unstable. All of that is going to add up and create gravitational and postural and honestly aches and pains challenges too. The scans let us have a roadmap for what's going on, and we can almost predict what those future challenges for baby are going to be, because when we see those stresses showing up in pregnancy, one, it makes it more likely that birth is going to be more intervention filled or a little bit more challenging than you would like. But also those factors are what tells us that kids are more likely to struggle. We are way more likely to see kids with colic or reflux or feeding or sleeping issues or just tension and tone when we have prenatal stress and birth intervention and birth trauma. So those scans are so helpful as a starting point. They're completely safe, they're radiation free, there's nothing you need to worry about from a prenatal perspective, but it lets us figure out how do we help you make sure that you're having the best pregnancy journey possible, but also helping make sure that that co-regulation component to it, make sure that the baby's nervous system is set up for success too. And that's also why we're such big fans of doing scans afterwards, right? Doing a scan for you postpartum as well as for baby. So what does that look like? If you haven't already had those scans and had those tests, that's step one, is we got to get a baseline. We got to figure out where are we at right now, whether in your first trimester and you just peed on a stick, or whether you can see your due date around the corner next week and you are just hanging on by a thread. It's never too late. The sooner the better, right? The earlier we can start helping in regulation during pregnancy, it's a lot easier. But versus when we get to those tail end final weeks and final months, the sooner the better. But it's never too late. You're never beyond hope for improvement. So step one is let's get a baseline scan. Step two is we're gonna have gentle and specific prenatal adjustments to help your brain and body communicate better, help calm that dysregulation or stress that we see in your scans, and really help pump the brakes. There's so much more neurology and in depth we could go into there, but this is gonna turn into a 30-minute or 60-minute video instead of 5 or 10. But basically, it helps reset that neurological stress response, especially when we talk about the upper neck. The vagus nerve is your brake pedal. That is the calming part of your nervous system. And so when we find those upper neck patterns in your scans, it tells us that your stress response is just spinning out of control, right? You have no brake pedal. You have no regulation. It's all fight or flight. So prenatal adjustments are going to help calm that stress response. Those are specific to your scans, specific to your care plan. That's step two. Step three is going to be doing those progress scan updates. It's not just a baseline scan and then you're done. We're going to do those checks throughout your pregnancy journey. We're going to be checking in each trimester and see what's changing. We're going to see how your body is handling life differently in trimester 3 versus week 10. So we're going to track that along the way. And then like I already said, step 4 is let's see how you're doing postpartum. Let's see how baby is handling those first couple of days and weeks of life and make sure that their nervous system is set up for success too. I cannot say this enough. It is the foundation of every other aspect of your health. It's the air traffic control center. We can't neglect neurology. We can't expect to have a really high level of health, have really positive birth experience if our nervous system isn't being handled and taken care of too. So moms, that is my encouragement. Don't neglect that piece of it. Make sure that that is balanced. Make sure that your nervous system is resilient. This is one of the most important seasons of life, or maybe the most important season of life for you to make that the priority, because it's not just affecting you, it's setting up your newborn, your baby for success as well. And that is 100% what we're about here at Thrive. We're a pediatric and prenatal focused practice that works with the nervous system, that does these scans on every single patient, and we would love to help be a part of that journey. If that's something you want to talk more about, if you've got questions, if you want to schedule that baseline scan, please reach out to us. You can call the team, you can send us a message here on this video, whatever's easiest for you, but don't neglect your health, don't neglect your nervous system, because this is the most important season for it. Can't wait to meet you soon and help you and your baby thrive.